Hi guys, I'm Joe.
I'm Lacey.
And this is the Bradford office. There's another line.
And
this is the Bradford office.
Sorry, I forgot the second part.
And this is the Bradford office.
Okay, that was it.
Alright, so we're here today at the office and we're going to give you an inside look of what to expect whenever you reach out to us for a project at your home. So we're here, this is kind of our HQ, and here with Lacey, who's the first contact.
Hi, I'm Lacey. I'm the office manager. I will be their first contact whenever you reach out, whether it's through email, calls, website submissions. I'll be walking you through what it's going to look like to be able to get an estimate, whether that's maybe over the phone or with our sales rep. Yeah, I do just a little bit of everything around here, and I'll be your first and last bit of communication between the office and your project. And yeah, I love what I do.
So yeah, we'll walk you through that, what to expect once you do reach out to us, and then how you get a price for your particular project. I guess, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do here?
Like I said earlier, I do a little bit of everything. I do the answering of the phones, the emails, website submissions. I'll walk you through your project and get some details from you and see if we can either possibly give you an on-the-phone estimate, or if we can get our sales rep to come out and do a free on-site estimate to get you something a little bit more official, and then we'll work through it from there. And then how many gates were you thinking? Okay, sure. So typically if we're gonna do a double gate, we're gonna drop a cable through it. You can do like a 9-foot 6-inch. And he will text you whenever he's headed your direction, just to give you a heads up. But you'll also get a reminder text the day before, just reminding you of your appointment. Was there any questions I could answer for you in the meantime? Okay, thank you, bye-bye. Good, that was an easy one. We've done several fences in this neighborhood. I know their requirements, so it was a pretty cut and dry.
So with that, when somebody has a project, say their fence blew over, or like their kids are driving them crazy, they gotta have something, or they got crazy neighbors and they need some privacy. So they're starting that process of, I need a fence. What are the ways that they can reach out to us, to you specifically, in order to start that process?
Yeah, so you can reach out through a text message, just giving us a call, through email, our website. You also can do like a quick online estimate, which is also through our website. So there's multiple ways for you to reach out to us, and then after you do, I'll immediately get a notification, and then I'll reach out to you, and then we'll talk through that.
So, okay, with that, I think something you hear of, oh, I called and they didn't answer or whatever. What should they expect if they call and we're already on the line and we don't get the answer right away?
Oh yeah, then I would definitely give you a call right back. If you call me back, I will make note of that. If you leave me a voicemail, that's best. I can get a little information about you. But I will reach back out to you as soon as I can through whichever way you reached out to us.
So the other thing, with one of those channels being our website, specifically the online estimate, I mean, you can go there 24/7 and put in your address, mark out your fence layout, make some selections of what type of fence you want, and it'll give you a price range. But I think a common misconception of that is, if somebody does that, is that a final estimate from us?
No, absolutely not. It definitely can give you like a ballpark range of what you might be looking at. There's a lot of instances where people do that online estimate and maybe their house is new, so the Google Maps hasn't picked up on that, so you're basically just drawing out where you think the fence might go. And then I've also had people say that it's a little difficult to measure out the lines and kind of know exactly where they're going off the Google Maps. So it does give you a ballpark estimate, but it definitely is not anything that's like super official, and doesn't take into consideration all the factors that would go into putting up your fence.
Yeah, and just for your expectations, it will give you a range whenever you use that tool, and that range is, like Lacey's saying, is built to be a tool to kind of give you a budget or a expectation, but then our next steps from that would be to get more specific information, and then actual measurements on site to give you an exact estimate or figure. So let's move into, so that's kind of the ways you can reach out to us. Let's move into what they should expect when they contact us. I guess we've talked a little bit about that. So if they call, we'll answer and we'll have that discussion. Or if they text or send in a message or a form submission, what does that look like when we're reaching out? What kind of things are we needing to talk about for their project there?
Yeah, so I want to know everything you can possibly tell me about your project. That's going to help us serve you better. I'm going to want to know what the purpose of the fence is. Are you wanting it to keep the dogs in? Are you trying to keep people out of your fence? Is it just the aesthetic of it? You know, there's a lot of different scenarios that go into like what your fencing project is going to serve best for your needs. So I want to know everything about it. I'm going to ask you the style of fence, you know, the gates, how wide the gates need to be, if you need to get a car through it or a zero turn through it. We want to make sure that whatever we provide you is going to be exactly what you need and want. And so gathering as much detail as possible. And I know that it might be very overwhelming because a lot of people have never had to put up a fence before. So just walking you through and giving you different styles, or asking you like how much maintenance are you wanting to put into it, or is it more of a security, or do you just want to be able to keep that view that you have of the beautiful field in the backyard. So gathering as much detail as possible just to make sure that you get exactly what you want and you also know all of the options before making your decision.
We're doing some discovery there, getting information about their project. Important to us is knowing the why behind, like Lacey said, what's the purpose of it, because we want to be able to serve you well, or whoever you're dealing with. You want them to be able to serve you well for the ultimate why behind it. So we're getting that. What about like location and address and those kind of things?
Oh yes, of course. Your basic demographic information. We'll need to know how do you prefer to be contacted, and then also what your address is. Whenever we have that first bit of communication, I'm going to look it up on Google Maps so I can look at it while we're talking through that, so I can kind of get a lay of the land and see kind of what we're working with, but also make sure that when our sales rep shows up, he's not going to be wandering down the street and we've got the address wrong. So yeah, just basic information, and I'm going to ask for your email address. We're not going to be sending you a bunch of spam, messages or anything like that. That's how we communicate with our estimates being sent out. So everything that we collect from you is definitely needed, and we're not going to be bugging you all the time and sending you a bunch of spam stuff or selling your information like some people tend to think.
Yeah, but that is a good point, because our main mode of, maybe not communication, but our main mode to be able to send out that final estimate or quote is through email. So that is the purpose of that. We've talked about the why, the details, where they're located. Then what's the process there to actually, once we've gathered that information, what are we doing next to actually get pricing and some specifics for their project?
Yeah, so if you've got any type of basic information of how much footage you might be looking at, the layout that you can kind of describe to me, there is the potential that we may be able to do like an over the phone estimate. It's going to be kind of a ballpark because it's not going to take into consideration, of course, all the corners, all the ends and the stuff. But the best case scenario is to have our sales rep come out and do a free on-site estimate. But if there is any information that you can provide us, like just a ballpark of how much footage you've got, just to give him a little bit of a heads up of how long he's going to be out there, that is helpful. But if you're like me, like footage doesn't really mean anything when I'm trying to look across the warehouse. So it's totally fine if you don't know that information. That's what our sales rep is there for. I will get him on the schedule to come out and see what you have going. It is preferable that you be there with him just to kind of meet with him and talk through that. But again, it is free for him to come out So yeah, I'll work with you, ask you, like what your schedule is like, and then have him, find the best time to come out and meet with you and walk through that and get you an estimate. Typically, he can get you an estimate while on site, but there are, different situations to where he may need to go back to the office, do some figuring, and then get back with you. But he does get them out, as quickly as possible. So, you should expect a pretty quick turnaround.
All right, so once we have that initial call and get that information about their project and location, then depending on if they have footage and we can get enough information from the aerial view, we may be able to provide an estimate based off that. Mm-hmm. And typically, it'd say what's the turnaround on something like that?
So it would typically be about, I don't know, maybe the same day or even within 3 days.
Yeah, I would say so. Typically, I'd say hopefully the same day or within the 24 hours or so, depending on what our workload is like. So that's one option, but then in the majority of cases, I would say we're typically scheduling for our sales rep to go visit the site, talk through with them further, correct, and then and getting that going. You give them a little bit of insight of what that looks like as far as you scheduling that and somebody coming out.
Yeah, so our sales rep, so I have to try and, schedule him accordingly to not try to have him going from Heber Springs all the way to Bryant. So I'll try to work with you the best that I can, try to see what your schedule looks like, and then take a look at his and see where I can fit that in. He typically does not schedule any farther than a week out. We try to get you in as quickly as possible and get you squeezed in. There are instances where if you are pretty close and he's in that area, I could possibly even get you in same day or the next day, in a perfect world. But realistically, about within, I would say 5 days, then we could get him out there to get you an estimate. Yeah,
and then on that call, or on that visit, the on-site visit, we are going to walk through things with you. We're going to get details from you. Again, we're going to revisit the why and purpose and then we'll be able to present you with actual options that will fit your needs. We'll be assessing the site and getting measurements, getting all those details, and then in some cases there on the spot or that same day, he'll be able to get that estimate figured up and emailed over to you, or typically within the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll have that all put together. There are some cases where we need to get material quotes from some vendors that may contribute to the time frame of getting an estimate to you. But typically within 24 to 48 hours from that meeting, you will have a full written up estimate that is a full scope of work, all very detailed, specific to your project and what you discussed with the sales rep. So the last thing on that is what happens if after that meeting or after they've called in, given us information, and they've gotten a price, but what if they change their mind or need to tweak something about their estimate?
Yeah, and that's not a problem at all. For the most part, whenever you give me a call and just let me know, I actually talked with my husband or my spouse and said, we decided that we wanted to add an extra gate. That's not a big deal. Or whenever Will comes out, then he will measure everything. So even if you had discussed you wanted it to come off the back side of the house, but now you want it in the middle part of the house, that's usually a pretty quick adjustment, and I should be able to do that pretty quickly, and then resend it over to you for approval.
Yeah, and I feel like that also would get the question of like, well, what if I want to do this style or compare it to this style? And typically once we have those measurements and we have it inputted in our system, then that's an easy thing to compare, like wood versus chain link, or this style wood versus another style of wood. So yeah, don't be hesitant to ask if you want to look at other options, and we'd be happy to help you with that. So that kind of is in a whole, what we talked about are the 5 ways to contact us, what to expect once you contact us, and then what it looks like to be able to get an exact estimate for your project. Hey, thanks for joining us on this video on how to schedule an estimate for your project. I hope that's helpful.
Make sure you like this video, it helps us out a ton, and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this.
Perfect!